So easily one of the most exciting aspects of offseason and certainly fall camp is hearing how the true freshmen are making progress. But what if I told you there was a true freshman out there that was one of the most interesting, one of the most exciting prospects, not only in his respective recruiting class, but in all of college football? A true freshman prospect who should have been in the class of 2025, reclassified to the class of 2024, and was still a top 5 player in the nation, and who owns several sub 10 500 meter dashes. On top of all of that, he is already making waves in college. Of course, today we're talking about how Alabama may have found their next star wide receiver, and that is Ryan Williams. But before we can jump into all of this, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes, N for no. Do you believe Ryan Williams is the future of this Alabama offense? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And let me get one thing out the way first. I'm not sitting here claiming that Ryan Williams is going to be Alabama's leading wide receiver. I think there's some sneaky talent in that room, and Ryan Williams is young. But what I am saying is that he has an ability that you cannot ignore, you cannot doubt, and it's already being showcased. Part of the reason why I gave you the whole story about the reclassification and where he ranked coming out of that reclassification is to paint the full picture. My job is to be a storyteller, and I wouldn't be doing the story justice if I didn't paint the entirety of the picture. This is a guy that was so gifted after reclassifying and enrolling when he wasn't even a senior in high school. He's a top 5 player in all of high school football. The number 3 wide receiver, the number 2 player in the state of Alabama, back-to-back Mr. Alabama awards as well. This guy has got an ability that, quite frankly, you just don't see come around all too often. And I have been of the mindset that if he had stayed in the class of 2025, he would have been the number 1 player in the nation in the class of 2025. Whenever we talk about Ryan Williams, there's no shortage of things to be excited about. We can talk about the speed, of which I highlighted. This kid is a sophomore in high school, has several sub 10 500 meter dashes, and guess what? He's only gotten faster as he's continued to get stronger. Now that he's working with Alabama's strength and conditioning staff, there's no doubt that he has gotten faster. In fact, the other day there was an article highlighting how many guys on this Alabama roster have eclipsed 20 miles per hour, absolutely smashing the numbers they had last year. That's because this staff is incredible at what they do. Now you get a guy like Ryan Williams who already has that natural speed. You get him working with this staff, and sky's the limit. That's one of the reasons to be excited about Ryan Williams, because speed kills. Let's be honest. You can't really account for a guy that fast. You've got to pull resources over to him, and it makes your job so much harder as the defensive coordinator and certainly as the defenders who are tasked with guarding him. But the reason why I personally am most excited about Ryan Williams is the route running he brings to the table. Being fast certainly helps, but if you can couple being fast with understanding how to gain separation at every single phase of the route, now you're going to be cooking with fire. And I was always blown away. Coach Sean and I talk about this consistently when we talk about Ryan Williams. His understanding of how to attack defensive backs at a young age far exceeded his experience. It was really something to watch. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's running his route, getting a defensive back to turn their hips and shoulders one way, and the second he makes them turn, he's cutting back the other way, and it's over. At that point, it's over. Throw him the ball, he's open, they're not going to be able to catch him because he understands how to attack the defensive backs in order to get separation. At the short area of the route, midpoint of the route, and the high point of the route. That's something seeing a kid in high school have such an understanding of is hyper impressive, because it's one thing to talk to somebody or be on a whiteboard and they're telling you, yeah, this is how you have to do it. It's another thing to see that guy take it out in practice, to actually go out there and do it. That's hyper impressive. And then you listen to Coach Shepard. Whenever Coach Shepard is talking about Alabama's wide receivers, he said something the other day that really stuck out to me. That he was breaking down everything, stripping things back, and of course I'm paraphrasing here. The message is the same, but I'm using my own words, so forgive me. Coach Shepard said that he was stripping things back, breaking it down, and really teaching these guys how to run routes. With Ryan Williams' ability already, and now having a guy like Coach Shepard work with him, being an Alabama strength and conditioning factory, let's be honest, that's what it is. It's a factory over there, what they do in the strength and conditioning room. Sky truly is the limit for him. And then we talk about the Kalen DeBoer offense, right? So we've talked about the strength and conditioning staff, how Alabama has this incredible factory that these players get to work with. And on top of having that factory, Ryan Williams brings the natural speed. We talk about him being a natural route runner, already in high school, understanding how to attack defensive backs, utilizing his speed, utilizing his football IQ, utilizing that savviness. Now he's working with Coach Shepard, who's saying, hey, I'm stripping it all back and I'm teaching these guys how to be elite route runners. That's going to be massive for Ryan Williams, because if you have the speed and you have the route running, now you are dangerous. Look at an Amari Cooper. Look at a Devontae Smith. Look at a Jerry Jeudy. Look at a Waddle. If you have elite route running, I mean, Amari Cooper is one that instantly comes to mind, having next level speed, but his route running, I mean, he would break you down. Calvin Ridley, right? Alabama has had so many of these guys that are elite route runners. Ryan Williams is as fast or faster than any of them. Maybe except for Jalen Waddle. But owning a 10-4 100-meter dash as a sophomore, ladies and gentlemen, that's different. To put it in perspective, one of the receivers in college football that most people out there, most talking heads tab as one of the fastest guys out there is actually a guy Alabama just lost, and that's Isaiah Bond. Ryan Williams has the same 100-meter dash as Isaiah Bond, but he did it as a sophomore. That's different. But then we look at Kalen DeBoer's offense, and we ask ourselves, what are the possibilities? What could the receiving stats look like within this offense? I don't have a question that Jalen Milroe is going to progress as a football player, as a quarterback, as a passer. But what are the stats going to look like? Well, in order for us to give an educated answer on that question, we must look at what happened at Washington, where Odunze had 1,640 yards, Polk had 1,159 yards, McMillan had 559, Westflower, the tight end, had 453, and Jeremy Bernard had 419. So you had 5 guys eclipse 400 yards. I don't know how many 1,000-yard wide receivers Alabama is going to have. But what I do feel very confident is that you could see something similar in the sense of having 5 guys eclipse 400 yards. Whenever you look at Jeremy Bernard, you look at Kendrick Law, you look at Kobe Prentice, you look at Ryan Williams, and then you have guys like Cole Adams, Emmanuel Henderson, Caleb Odom, all of these exciting names, and we're not even going into the whole room. You still have Bubba Hampton, who's real talented. You have Rico Scott, you have Amari Jefferson. There is so much talent in this room. You have Jaron Hamilton. There's so much talent in this room. I don't question, hey, is this Alabama wide receiver room going to be successful? I think a lot of people out there do, but it's because they don't know, and I don't fault them for not knowing. Last year's offense was not the best showcase of the ability Alabama has in that wide receiver room. So I don't fault people for not knowing what Alabama has. In fact, I prefer it that way. Call me crazy, I prefer it that way. That whenever Alabama laces up the cleats, there are going to be detractors out there. And make no mistake about it, I don't think opposing coaches are in that same wheelhouse that a lot of opposing fans are. I think opposing coaches, opposing staffs, they've done the research. They know what Alabama has in this wide receiver room. They know the quarterback Jalen Milroe can be. They know who Kalen DeBoer and this offensive staff are. I think they're paying attention. But I'm always fine with fans not understanding what's in the room. You have so many different names that can contribute. And that's why I said to start off this video, I'm not sitting here claiming that Ryan Williams, as a guy who should be a senior in high school, is going to lead Alabama in receptions and yards and touchdowns. I don't know that to be true. Because you have a Kendrick Law. You have an Emmanuel Henderson. You have a Cole Adams. You have a Kobe Prentice. You have a Jeremy Bernard. You have a Jaron Hamilton. You have a Caleb Odom. Rico Scott, Bubba Hampton, Amari Jefferson. You have all these talented pieces. But what I do know, and what everybody has been talking about coming off of a scrimmage where Ryan Williams caught a 50-yard touchdown from Jalen Milroe, is that he has got ability that will be showcased this year. That college football fans will know the name. And I do feel very strongly that you could see a similar makeup of having 5 guys eclipse 400 yards. And I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest to see Ryan Williams in that group. But I gotta hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know, do you think Ryan Williams is on his way to being a star? And then let me know which wide receiver you think actually leads in yards for the Crimson Tide when it's all said and done this year. Can't wait to hear from you. That's it. See ya.